Are we rolling?
We're rolling! Yay! Welcome everyone to the Renegade Society radio show. I am Sara Erickson, Director of Sales and Marketing, and I am joined today by two amazing guests. Most of you probably already know Jonathan Ying, designer of Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid, and also Bargain Quest. He's an expansion for that coming out soon as well. But our guest star for today is actually Chris Powell. And Chris, you will need to tell us a little bit about yourself because this is your first time on the show. So you are a podcaster, general Power Rangers fan, and lover of all things pop culture. So tell us a little bit about that.
So me and my friends way back in 2009.
Oh, the olden days.
Yes. We had got the idea of why don't we actually just form a little podcast, because our conversations is just random. It'd be serious one minute, and next minute we're just joking about just random stuff. And this is early YouTube days. So we were like, well, maybe we can do a YouTube channel. And our friend made a YouTube channel, but we never did nothing with it. It was just we might post some random stuff, but it was never anything, worth anything. So 2011, it was right around the time my co-host D, he just had his first kid, and he decided, hey, we should just do a podcast. So we just started a podcast since 2011, and we just talked about, it went from us doing regular movie podcasts and then evolved into us branching out to different shows, talking about wrestling, that's the Wrestle Corner show, and then comic books, Power Rangers, one that I did years ago that I started more from Medicast, and sports, we have a show for that as well. So yeah, we've been chugging along, coming up on 10 years, coming up next year. So it's been great. It's been awesome. And at least with Power Rangers, that was the reason why I started the More from Medicast podcast, because I like the show. And my co-host Prime Gundam, he's the one that's, I thought I was a huge fan of all things Power Rangers at Sentai, but he just amps it up even more, which kind of makes our show really great. And a lot of people are very thankful, oh, you guys talk about stuff outside of Power Rangers, and we talk about Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, and that's stuff that most people don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been great getting a lot of feedback from people that might not know about those shows, and they're like, okay, I'll check out the show because you guys talked about it. So that's so I'm 1/3 of the Three Black Geeks crew, and that's pretty much it for me.
Nice. So it sounds like you're definitely a Power Rangers fan, and you hang out with other Power Rangers fans. So where did that start? What got you into Power Rangers in the first place?
When the show came out in 93, I was 9 years old, and that show just grabbed my attention.
Hell yeah, Gen 1.
Gen 1. So it's
waking up at 7 a.m.
Well, it was funny because I remember the show premiered, funny enough, it actually premiered during the evening. I think it was on a Friday evening. I think I remember it a little bit, but I do remember ever since then, Saturday mornings watching it.
You were ground floor, yeah.
Ground floor. So ever since then, I was just, and then even when it got to Power Rangers Turbo, which I know a majority of people that I'm friends with, they have a lot, and even fandom as a whole.
It's controversial.
Everybody abandoned ship off the franchise after that, but a lot of us that stuck with it were all right, we'll stick with it and see what happens. And then Power Rangers in Space happened, and then the franchise kind of got revitalized and stuff. So that kind of spurred into me, and then my cousins, a lot of my older cousins, I'm the youngest on my dad's side, they already knew about Kamen Rider and Super Sentai. They had old VHS tapes, so they had showed me the Sentai that Power Rangers is based off of already. So that kind of spurred me to really get knee deep into it. And then once internet started getting way better to have access to those things, then the fandom just went through, and then you go to the message boards like Ranger Board and all these other places and stuff, and you just meet like-minded people. And then social media with Twitter and Facebook groups, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and stuff. So that's my fandom. I'm shocked to this day that it's Power Rangers is still on the air. Even as a fan, you're just shocked that it's still kicking. Most franchises would love to have that longevity.
25 years, Jesus,
a long time. Yeah. So obviously you like to watch the shows. Are you a collector? Do you have Zords that you like to put on a shelf, anything like that? Or do you like to paint stuff, make dioramas? Or are you more consuming it?
So I started off consuming it, and I think as a kid I wanted the toys, but our folks are kind of like, you got to pick the video games or the toys, and it's just I was more on the video game side of things. So like as I got older, when I hit high school, and once I had my own job, I was like, well, maybe I can start collecting some of the toys and stuff. And
Uh-oh.
yeah,
Slippery
so
slope.
so I was like looking for, I think at the time that I had a job and I was looking for toys and stuff, they were pretty expensive. So I was like, all right, I'll hold off on that. And then I think it wasn't until I think it's 10th anniversary of Power Rangers. I think it was like the year Wild Force came
Yeah, the
out.
Wild Force
Yeah,
Forever Red.
yeah, Wild Force right around there. That's when I was like, all right, well, I'll go back and get like the Green Ranger Dragon Dagger. Like I got that, and I had
Yeah,
like
the Bandai one. It's
yeah,
really nice.
the Bandai one that was like, it's not like the legacy one, but it was still like the one that came out in the 90s and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I got that. I only paid like $80 at the time for it. And
pretty
then I
good.
got the Morpher, which was like 100, and I was like, oh man, this is great. And that's why I started it. And then like for a time I was just watching it, and I might get a couple of figures here and there, but I wasn't like full tilt into it. And it wasn't until I think when Samurai came out, that's when I started like, all right, I'm gonna buy the legacy figures. And since then I've been buying the Zords and the Lightning collections that's out right now. I've been buying those figures and stuff. So I'm collecting it to a degree, but I'm not like full tilt like a lot of folks where they got to have everything. Like,
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I'm getting the ones that I want, but I just have only so much space in my house, right? Like,
yeah, that's where I'm at. It's the Lightning collection. I'm picking and choosing what I get and stuff. So because it's like once you start getting everything, then it's like, okay, where do I put it at?
dangerous game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got the Lightning Collection Ranger Slayer myself.
Yeah, I got that, and like now they just announced like today the Psycho Ranger 5-pack.
Ooh,
So,
man, that's
yeah,
dangerous.
so again, so it's like as an adult, and it's like, okay, do I get it now or do I just hold off on it? So
Pretty exciting. So out of all of those things that you've been collecting, what's your prize Ranger possession? This is a question for both of you.
Man, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. If
We'll make answer first.
I mean, I got my Morpher up over there. I don't want to get up and like move any of my setup right now, but yeah, like my classic Legacy Morpher is like my favorite thing, sitting on my desk all the time. Like whenever I'm just feeling down, I just kind of pick it up, flip it open. It's nice. Got the Mastodon coin in it right now.
Nice. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
How about you, Chris?
I gotta admit, I can't say it's prized so much that I was just happy I got it. I got the Gold Ranger Zeo Power Staff.
Oh God!
And I had gotten it right. I had gotten it right around the time Toys R Us was going out of business, because I meant to get it, but it was just kind of like I didn't really need it at that time. So I was going around Toys R Us and I saw it on the shelf and it was discounted, and I was like, "This is the best time to get this before it's like off the market."
There we go.
And I just got it, and I was like, I just want to keep it because that's a toy that, like, I think a lot of people in fandom, they want more of those kind of role play type toys with the weapons and morphers more so than the action figures itself, because that's something that's been lacking on the toy market, so to speak.
Yeah, having the props is really like, I don't know, it feels cool. Also, like half the time in the show, they use the toys, right?
Yeah,
like,
so it's like you might as well. I mean, and the thing of it is, if you want to get one of those props, you have to kind of go outside and get it through like a third party person that's actually making the actual weapons themselves and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that makes it a little bit trickier. That's neat though. That's a really cool thing to have in your collection for sure. Yeah. So out of all of these great things that we have for Power Rangers, traditionally we haven't had a lot of things that you can interact with, like those toys. It's been a lot more action figures and things like that. But we decided to make a board game. So we sent you a couple of copies of that, including Shattered Grid. So we can't wait to hear what you think about those when you get a chance to play them. But have you played any other board games since you haven't gotten a chance to play those yet?
You know what? I am one of those kids that I was the weird kid that played Risk. And it's just like, it's always like those, like board games period to me are special. And like, I'm not even talking like Monopoly, like that's a different thing altogether. But like these specific board games, they're special when you can actually get people that actually want to play it. So it was fun to get like two or three people in my class at the time. It'd be like the last day of school, and there's Risk right there. And I was like, y'all want to play Risk? All right, cool. And we're just all involved in Risk. We'll play it for like a couple of hours.
Yeah, it's
And we're
sitting
just
together going at it. It's great.
and it's fun. So like that's all out. That's really, in terms of board games, that's the only thing I've actually actively played is just Risk. Because
Oh man,
especially if I go to conventions and they actually have a room for board games, I was shocked there are people that actually they would get together and play Risk at a convention. Like, it's just shocking.
I mean, it's a classic for a reason, right? Like,
oh yeah,
that's the
definitely.
jam.
And it's like, and then when I saw the Power Rangers had the board game, I was like, okay, this is actually pretty interesting. Because I've seen other people have these type of board game setups and stuff, and I've always watched like people do live streams of them kind of like playing together and stuff. And that's also pretty cool, is that now with technology, everybody can kind of like have like a Zoom Skype meeting and play a board game. And
Yeah, that's been interesting seeing that pop up these days. Like, that's been kind of the Wild West of tabletop now.
I mean, it works. I mean, if they can actually kind of get together and get it to work, it definitely works and stuff. But I'm starting to grow an appreciation for those things and stuff. And I just hope that other people start kind of grappling towards that as a normal thing.
Cool.
Yeah, I know that that's been good and bad for a lot of people. Like Jonathan, he's used to being able to do all this play testing with people.
That's been tough.
Real person, yeah. At a table, and so now having to design the next 2 sets of Power Rangers without having that in-person playtime is, I imagine, very challenging. Have you done any like digital stuff in your design for Power Rangers?
Like, for me, we've been doing, a lot of our playtesting has been remote recently. In particular, I just like a couple weeks ago, I set up like a whole Discord server just for our playtesting groups. Nice. And they've been getting a chance to kind of chat with each other, and we've been posting up stuff and playtest reports, and that's been really awesome. It's definitely been real different, but like, as we're figuring out more ways to kind of get playtests done remotely and get more data done, we're actually getting in we're still getting in about the same number, if not more, playtests now than we were before the quarantine. It's just been tricky because like I haven't been able to be in person there for a lot of them, so I have to like design all these questionnaires and stuff to make sure that the bigger groups are getting the right playtime in and like getting the right stuff down. But I will say I am super excited about the content we got coming down the pipe. Like, yeah, which I am not supposed to talk about.
Right.
But you know. On that front, like, hey, who's your favorite Ranger? And I'll CJ, like, maybe they're already in the game, but like, we'll see. If they're not, I'll see what I can do.
This is a tough one for me. This is one of those questions that, like, during the Power Ranger show, you kind of wave back and forth because there's so many seasons, there's so many great characters and stuff. Like, the one character that stuck out to me, it was Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. Carter Grayson, Red Ranger. What I liked about him is that was the point where Power Rangers started going to, like, they're no longer teenagers, they're like young adults now. And that season, these were Rangers that were put in the position of working for a military type organization. And this is the first time we actually had a Red Ranger that was like, yo, I actually want to do this.
Yeah,
like,
it's true.
There was no reluctant.
They signed up for it. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't the reluctant, oh, I guess I'll do it. It's like, no, I'll do it. You want me to do this? All right, cool. I'll do it. And like, he was balls to the walls. I'm going to go after these monsters. I'm going to destroy them. Not like in the Captain Ahab way, but just like, this is the job. This is what I have to do. And I always appreciated that character more so than anything else and stuff.
Yeah. The themes for Lightspeed were really good too. Like, I just loved, like, it was this really great setup of like, you've got like paramedic, you've got like firefighter, like ocean conservation, space travel, like all these, like, it's really like, that is the world I want, where those are prioritized as like the super team, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I will say I found the suits in Lightspeed a little bit odd. I never quite got that big central shape on them, but
I mean, the suits are for what they were and stuff, but like, it's between
as a story though.
Yeah, I mean, it's between Carter and Jack from Power Rangers SPD, because I like Jack because his character was like, he was all about helping people. And I mean, that's a show that's kind of sort of relevant to today in this world of cops and stuff, where you had him and his friend Z. They were very much like, yo, we don't like the police. You guys y'all do more harm than good and stuff. And the fact that they had the opportunity to become cops and actually do good for people. I actually thought that was actually great. His was good. Yeah, his character was like, yo, we can actually be police and actually do good for folks instead of us, like, just, letting them do whatever. We can actually change, change within the system and stuff. Now, granted, that's it's a fictional story, but it kind of is like very relevant, and I actually enjoy that aspect of it and stuff. That's kind of the first time, again, Power Rangers having that kind of writing that's relevant to like real world stuff in a different way.
Cool. Yeah.
So,
I think right.
Has always done a really good job about inclusivity and diversity and talking about social issues in a way that is both entertaining but also has a message. And I think they've done that for 25 years and have done a really great job of it. And you can see it in the fans. Like everybody that I've ever met who loves
they're so wholesome.
It's just wonderful.
I mean, that was their mission statement from jump. That was Saban's mission statement. Like, hey, we want to have a show that's representative of the world. Like every season, you're gonna have a character of a different ethnicity to varying degrees and stuff. And that's always been the great thing about it. It's, you know, when people say superheroes, like, yeah, we can go Marvel and DC, but Power Rangers in and of itself, they were always ahead of the curve in terms of having a variety of different people from different walks of life and ethnicities and stuff represented and such. So.
Yeah. And it shows. Like, this is such a good social experiment, I think, of just walking the walk and talking the talk and being good and having other people join you. And then you end up with a whole group of people who have learned that from age 9, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just really awesome. I'm just really happy to be part of it. Be able to have a game that we work on is just so amazing.
It's been definitely working on Power Rangers for me has been a huge dream. Like working with these characters who I've loved for a long time. And like, yeah, I think for this, I think we've only got one SPD rep right now. We got Anubis Kruger in like an ally pack that we did, where we did a whole bunch of different sort of, you know, we did, I think the pack has Ninjor, Phantom Ranger, Anubis Kruger, Magna Defender. Like, yeah, it was sort of that one's a bit of a grab bag on the seasons.
Yeah.
And Gold Ranger was the last one for that set, just because like rounded out. But it was it's been really cool. We do team packs of like the full teams, like we did one for Zeo. The upcoming Psycho Rangers pack is going to be all the full 6 Psycho Rangers and the 5 core Space Rangers.
We are going for the Psycho Rangers. So have you decided to actually go like 7 with like Psycho Silver? Or you just went Psycho Green? And
so Psycho Silver, we're not. The box just goes up to Psycho Green because Silver is more of like a disguise for a good guy.
I know, but it was just something that was a nice, like, because I know they made a toy from it from Bandai.
It's such a cool design, right?
Like, design aesthetic was great, and like I said, it's just one of those like, I wish they used it more than just like you said, the disguise aspect of it and stuff. But I was just curious about that and stuff because some people, even if they know it's a one-off thing, it's like that'd be nice just to have it on there just because for the aesthetic.
So cool, like so certainly we're thinking about it, and people were like, oh, you're gonna do Psycho Silver? Like we actually haven't even done the Silver Ranger in that box. We're kind of saving that for another team pack because like we kind of hit the figure limit, and we're like, okay, you know, we want the full set of Psychos together, and you kind of can play with the core 5 from the show, or if you're playing with a full 6 Ranger team, you bring in the 6th Psycho Ranger and just make it much more dangerous.
Okay.
But yeah, that's been, oh god, rewatching in space was just a good time. Like,
so we've talked about some of the good guys. So CJ, who's your favorite villain?
Ooh, okay. So I would say my top favorite villain, Ecliptor.
Oh yeah.
I liked him because there was shades of gray with him. Like he's a villain, but there's a shades of gray to him where there's like a bit of like honor. Like I'll fight you, but I'm not going to do any dirty tactics. I'm going to fight you straight up, and this is what I'm going to do. So it's him, and I'm going to go with Master Org in Wild Force.
All right, yeah.
Because that was one where I liked his pettiness during the second half. Like he was a very straightforward villain. It's like, you know, hey, it was just like, hey, I like this woman. She clearly didn't reciprocate it, and I'm going to kill her.
I'm mad about it.
I'm mad about it, and I'm going to wreak havoc past just killing it. And it's like, wow. And to me, like that was the first time like Power Rangers explicitly showed, oh, this person killed somebody. Like it wasn't just we just assumed
it wasn't like explosions and destroyed a building. It's like, oh, that's probably bad. Like,
no, he orphaned a kid, like straight up. Like it was done, and it's like, hey, that was
pretty dark.
It was very dark. It was very dark, and I appreciate that aspect of the character. So it's a toss up between those two. I'll probably edge it out the Ecliptor just because I just liked him overall as a bad guy.
Yeah. Oh man, Ecliptor had such a cool design.
So, talking about how Power Rangers has kind of evolved over time, you're talking about how there used to be just explosions, and then there was this one time when somebody actually died in the show, and that was a big deal. So, what do you think are the hallmarks of Power Rangers that has stayed the same over time?
I think just the idea of there being 5 people in bright colored suits fighting and stuff. I mean, that's something that you can't. It's kind of like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, it's you're always going to get people in spandex fighting monsters. You're always going to get the goofy stories at times and stuff. I mean, that's staple for Power Rangers and even Sentai to a degree. You're going to get those wacky moments and stuff.
Yeah.
I would say lately they've done a good job of actually making very um kind of like narrative driven stories and arcs to a degree and stuff. Give or take like some seasons where they kind of like drop the ball a little bit on that,
Yeah.
but like there's always like an overarching narrative in individual seasons and stuff. So you have those staples, and also like I said, just the makeup of the team is just diverse to real world. I mean, that's something that's always been a constant thing. Like there's never like, oh man, it's a team full of just all white people and all that stuff. Which I mean, it wouldn't bug me, but it's just like, no, they've always consistent been like, and not just putting a person from a different race as checking off. It's like, no, this is the character, this is who they are. Boom, that's it. You know, it's always been consistent because they've never, like, I've always thinking back on this stuff because as a kid you're not thinking about it, but like when you think back on the show, you've never heard anybody say that Power Rangers should be more diverse. It was like, no, they've always been that way.
Always from minute one. Yeah. And I mean, like, hey, like for me, right? Like when Adam Park showed up to the show, it was really eye-opening for me because that was one of the first times I encountered like an Asian character in media who wasn't like the kung fu guy or the smart guy, right?
Yeah.
Like those are the two slots. But with Power Rangers, right? They're all the kung fu guy because all of them do martial arts. And Billy's already on the team, so he can't be the smart guy. He had to be something else. And so Adam got to be kind of his own character. And it was really cool. And like, it was really fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, they buck stereotypes because like you see a black character, they're not stereotyped in any sort of way. Like Zach is not stereotyped in any way. He's himself. Like if you ever met Walter Jones is exactly like the character of Zach. Like just very fun loving and chill.
Yeah.
Like even to the Asian characters, there's no stereotype with them.
Yeah.
And like all the women in every season, they have agency to them. There's no, oh, they're damsel in distress. And you know, it's like, no, they can handle their own. They can definitely do what they have to do. And they're saving the team at times and stuff. So that's a consistent thing every season is like and it's kind of weird to really just wonder like, man, how many people behind the scenes are actually kind of keeping that consistent every season to where they're not slipping up in any sort of way, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it did take them a while. I think Ravi in Beast Morphers is their first Indian Ranger.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Like, and he's a fun character. Like, oh man. I actually have not caught up on Beast Morphers though, so if we can go there, no spoilers.
It's really good. It's definitely
I'm a few episodes behind right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like waiting for the next crossover. Like we're getting Jason back.
Hey, I've been actively avoiding spoilers on Twitter. Like there are people putting up spoilers. Like at least they hashtagged it be spoilers, and I was like, okay, well I can just avoid that hashtag and just keep it moving.
Oh no.
Oh shit.
Yeah, just mute the hashtag and nobody and you know what? I would say this fandom. I would give the Ranger fandom is that they're all on the same page. So they'll literally be like, oh, this is the hashtag for spoilers. So you can just mute the spoiler and you don't have to worry about it showing.
That's good. That's always good. Like you hate when,
You're very considerate.
That's good.
So speaking of more of the recent stuff, have you been reading the Boom comics?
Oh yeah. Our show More from Medicast, we did some episodes on the first part of Shattered Grid.
Yeah, actually. I think I found you guys on your Shattered Grid podcast.
Like, we did Shattered Grid, and then we did the one for the Power Ranger Pink miniseries that came out. So we did that. I think we're probably going to end up doing one for the Necessary Evil once that's done, and kind of do
that arc has gone through.
Kind of finish the stuff. Like I said, the
Go-Go is ending soon, isn't it? Like
I think Go-Go just finished.
Yeah,
I think it just finished and stuff. That's actually been a really good series from Jump and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I've definitely been reading the comics and stuff. Like I said, I will give the comic credit for kind of keeping the brand alive on a certain aspect of it. Because like I said, you can only do so many stuff on the TV side and also toys and stuff. So it's great that they're actually reviving the franchise through the comics and stuff. And the comics have been good. And like I said, there's certain things I can nitpick about it. Truly, I think we can do that for any comic and stuff. But
I think honestly, that's one of the things I most appreciated about your podcast, when like you guys were really good about talking about, you discuss like the narrative arcs of the characters and how much like time they chose to spend on this or that character, and really dug into, the themes and stuff they were following, and like both in a positive and in a critical way, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, because you try, because like I said, when you're part of any fandom, like I love Marvel Comics, but like I have to like be objective, because it's like, that comic wasn't that good. Because I think we all want things to be good. We all want it to be good, obviously. And it's like with the Boom Comics and stuff, they've been pretty good. And like I said, it's one of those things where you have to kind of stop yourself, like, okay, I wish they went this way with it, and stuff. And I think at one point, even the older, I think they had one issue where they actually used the what was the season before Zhu Ranger? They used one of the suits.
Oh yeah, that the Supersonic Rangers, right? Like
I think it was we just podcasted on it. Oh my god.
Oh no.
How did I forget? But they used those suits from the Sentai as like the past Rangers, and I was like, oh, that's so great. But it's like, it's kind of one of those like missed opportunities, because it's like, can we do more? Because I mean, we in America never got those series other than that one. Jetman, that's what it was.
Jetman. Yeah,
they used the Jetman costumes for like a flashback, and it's like, that would be great if they could actually use the previous Sentai suits in the Boom Comics as a way of kind of like bridging the gap and stuff for certain things that they want to use suits and stuff. But
I mean, I'm always going to be sad they didn't just use Die Ranger footage in like Mighty Morphin. Like
they did it in Mega Ranger, Mega Force.
Yeah, Mega Force.
As much as that show is, they clearly went into not caring mode once they had them
just like go nuts.
Yeah, just transform the Die Ranger. We never did that season, but just do it anyway. Just do it. And like I said, the Boom Comics, I appreciate them having like the original, like they have the Omega Rangers, and they have the Solar Rangers, which, funny enough, the Solar Rangers kind of look like a Q Ranger from the Sentai.
Yeah, a little bit.
So I will appreciate them doing a lot of stuff, and I'm glad that they're actually starting to progress the narrative. So I think a lot of us are kind of like, all right, so when we're going to move into the Zeo season and the Ninja season, when we get to
is there a Sentai series that you really hope that they adapt for Power Rangers?
I mean, they're already about to do the Dino one.
Yeah, Ryu Soldier.
Ryu Soldier and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what? I will say this. I was happy that Beast Morphers decided to adapt
Go Busters,
because I think that's what something that everybody wanted and stuff.
Yeah, I love the Go Busters suits.
I mean, if there was one, Q Ranger is probably the one that I was really like, ooh, I hope they do it. That's like, I think, was it 10 Rangers total in that series?
That is a lot of Rangers.
That there are so many story possibilities.
Yeah.
It is crazy and stuff.
I'm secretly hoping like they're not going to do it, right? But like I want Lupin Rangers so bad.
Everybody wants it. I mean, even Tokuger. Yeah, I mean, me and my friend, me and Prime, we were going back and forth. Prime is adamant like they should adapt to Tokuger. I was like, you really think people in America will like trains? They'll like it if they watch the show. I was like, all right.
Yeah, I think just like Lupin Ranger is like, oh yeah, the next gen of SPD or something, right? Like you got the cops, you got the robbers. I don't know.
There is
ideas. They're really hesitant to show Ranger teams coming into conflict with each other, and like they didn't want to do Rangers as pirates, right? They were real careful about that one. I suspect Rangers as like actual jewel thieves is probably something they would want to avoid.
I mean, Hasbro is going to be fully in charge after Beast Morphers.
That's true.
Instead of half involved. So I can see them going full tilt with a lot of this stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But as far as the Boom Comics go, I've been enjoying the ride and stuff. Go has probably been one of my favorite comics because it's been consistent from issue
Writing
one
has been so strong.
All the way and stuff. I've been loving it and stuff. And I mean, Dracon, despite the character, I'm kind of like 50-50 on, but I like the design aesthetic of him. I like the idea of it.
His suits are real cool.
His suit is real cool. It's just, I'm just kind of looking at Boom like, all right, guys, like we can kind of hang it up on Dracon.
Oh no.
Have you read number 50?
Haven't read 50 yet, but it's one of those things where it's it's kind of like they're
excited about where they're going.
You could tell they really love Dracon a lot, but it's kind of like one of those characters like, all right, guys, let them put them off to the side for a little bit. Let's get a new bad guy up to the front.
It could be a sometimes food. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a very silly question about Boom Comics for you. So they recently did a crossover with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Would you consider the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle team a Sentai team?
Ooh.
This is sort of a little bit like is a taco a sandwich, but that's okay.
It's, you know what? It's interesting because if you're going to go based off the color coding, sure. If you're going to go off that, yeah. But like as a team,
I mean, they're not really transforming heroes.
yeah, they're not transforming anything. Like, if you're going off the big, and I think that's why they did that, because of the color coding aspect. You know, Leonardo got blue and Michael, you know, and all that stuff. So on that level, sure, but like, not really.
Yeah, and I mean, they do fight monsters of the week, and there are like their team dynamic is one that is not common to other superhero stories, right? Like, you know, you don't, like, Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles are sort of unique in that they're a team of characters with very similar power sets to each other on the team, going off and having adventures, whereas most of them it's like, oh, the superhero has their special power that makes them unique, and whereas with these teams they're more granular in that front. So I could see the parallels, but yeah.
I mean, the aesthetic is there because, you know, as much as I like that crossover, it's like, man, if they only use like the ninjetti powers with that crossover,
right? That
would
have been so cool.
that would have made more sense. I know a lot of people are like, well, they should have teamed up with Ninja Storm. I'm like, well, guys, like, I would love to see them team up with Ninja Storm because it makes sense because they're ninjas. But like, if they use season 3 instead of just going season 1 Mighty Morphin, it probably would have, like, visually would have been great.
So. I'm just surprised we haven't seen Ninjor show up at all, right? Like,
I mean, it looks like he might. I mean, he showed up in Shattergrid.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that after this arc in Power Rangers, because I mean, they're already past the point where they already transferred the powers to, you know, Aisha and them now. So now they're kind of progressing towards possible Ninjor and stuff as it comes. So we'll see how it goes on that.
Yeah. Oh boy, man.
So we're about halfway through our show. So I did want to just take a second for our fans and let them know that we're doing a giveaway today. We are giving away, because we're talking about Power Rangers, one set of Bulk and Skull and our Zeo Gold Rangers. So if you would like to fill out the form that Desiree is going to be nice enough to put in chat for us, then the secret code word for today is "Let's Rock It," just like the name.
Real subtle.
Very subtle.
Okay, now when you were watching In Space, did you think he was saying "Let's rock it" as 2 words, or like did you always get the pun "Let's rock it" like a rocket ship? Because I
got it off the rip as like when I saw it says "Let's rock it," I knew, because I love the theme of that whole season. It's like they're in space, and then when you ever, funny enough, 2 years after I saw In Space, like I remember going online and I went to, this is like OG early internet. Somebody actually had like a whole download of certain random episodes of Mega Ranger.
Oh man.
And I downloaded it on our 56K at the time connection and stuff. I downloaded one
3 weeks later, right?
Funny enough, it literally took 2 days for the one episode and stuff, but that was enough for me because I was just like, you know what, I'm not even going to try it and stuff. And I downloaded the episode, and then to watch that one episode and find out that they never go to space in that whole entire series.
Ever.
Like the one episode I saw, it was like they don't go to space, they're on Earth, and it's just that. Wow. And like it blows my mind as a kid, teenager, you know, I'm in middle school and stuff, and I'm like, they never went to what?
You apparently the Saban team was just as surprised as you are when they
like, I mean, it's just, you know, because again, like In Space gave you that idea, like, oh, this is a space theme, but they never went to space except for one time. Like
it's video games.
Hey, I'm cool with that. Like I said, I bought the Shout Factory DVD, so I've been going through each season, going through each season again and stuff, just to kind of like remember like those shows and stuff. So
that's pretty awesome.
Man.
And also one other thing for our fans, if you have any questions for either of these two, we will be taking questions momentarily. So we love to hear from you guys. So we've talked a lot about Power Rangers, of course, because it's very exciting. Are there any other related or sort of other close, fun pop culture TV shows you're watching lately? Anything like that you've explored that's super fun?
I know for me with HBO Max, I've been revisiting a lot of older shows that I you know, some shows I watch multiple times. Like I've been rewatching The Wire because I like that show.
So good.
Top to bottom, I'm like on season 2 rewatch for like the 5th time, possibly again. I was like, and I've been rewatching Regular Show because I love Regular Show so much. That show spoke to me in so many ways. Spoke to me, and just finding out that the creator of that show is like my age, so I was like, no wonder everything about that show is like hitting all the sensibilities of the 80s and 90s. It's like the kids, like the guy's my age, of course, that makes sense.
Exactly your upbringing, yeah.
So it's like there, and just a lot of stuff from CW, like Stargirl. I'm surprised that show is as good as it is. Like,
oh man, I Stargirl.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, I've mostly been watching Flash on the CW stuff. Like I sort of, I followed Arrow for a while, but yeah, I've heard really good things about Stargirl.
Yeah, it's definitely really good. But other than that, it's just whatever is on TV randomly. I just kind of catch up and stuff because, you know, the way the coronavirus is, it's like this is a prime opportunity to catch up on every new show and stuff. I mean, there's a new Perry Mason out. I was like, Perry Mason's out? Like, I guess I'll check that out. So.
I watched that last night. That was interesting. The first episode.
Yeah. I was definitely like, I need to jump on that. And it's like, I've officially hit my parents' level of watching these adult shows now. I'm like, I'm watching Perry Mason. Who would have known I'd be watching Perry Mason? It's crazy.
Yeah, I never heard about it all before last night. We just kind of were flicking through it. Same thing, like we're already through all the TV shows that we normally catch up on.
Like as a kid, you tell yourself like, I will never watch Perry Mason. And now it's like, man, I gotta really watch this Perry Mason show. Like it's the show that your grandparents and your parents watch. And it's like, now I'm watching.
Okay.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. I need to watch more episodes of Power Rangers instead of that, probably.
Hey, it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Like, it's been good.
A Netflix watch party right when everybody was in lockdown. That was fun. I'll watch Power Rangers together.
Yeah, but that's it for me in terms of just watching stuff. So
that's cool. How about you, Jonathan? Any new stuff you've been finding?
I mean, let's see. I've also been indulging in some older media. Like I've been watching like Columbo, right? Like just going through, like we've got some, old DVDs from my partner's family's place, but also, I don't know, I've been watching a lot of old anime.
Nice.
Like classic anime, like Ranma 1/2 and like Card Captors, and just like stuff that I remember watching a bit as like a kid and watching it like as an adult. Wow. And first of all, getting like much more of like the humor, much more of the story than I absorbed as a kid when I was like, oh, cool, magical battles. When like in fact there was much more going on, right? Like it's been really neat kind of going through kind of catalogs of like the old shows they've got on like Crunchyroll and Netflix and such.
Yeah, that's like me and Gundam. Like as a kid, like I mean, everybody
was my first Gundam.
That's everybody's first, and like me, I felt so off because like everybody's like, oh, Gundam Wing, and it's like I remember vaguely Mobile Suit Gundam. And again, having older cousins that actually watch like my first anime as a kid. I'm 5 years old, and they're showing me Gatchaman.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they showed me that, and there was another Tatsunoko series because I went to a private school at the time, and there was this other Tatsunoko series. It'll blow your mind. It was called Superbook. Not even joking. Pat Robertson from 700 Club commissioned Toei to do a cartoon based around the Bible. And Toei did it in the most wackiest way possible, where it's 2 kids.
I want to see the anime of like
I think it's on YouTube. It's 2 kids and their robot. The robot absorbs this book, and it's literally the Bible, and the kids literally get transported every episode to different parts of the Bible history. So one episode,
the most canon Old Testament ever. I see.
Literally one episode they'll be on Noah's Ark, and then another episode is like David and Goliath. And like as a kid, I'm eating it up like, oh wow, But like as an adult, it's like this is the most random show ever. Like,
and here I thought VeggieTales was weird.
That's the thing. It's like you're in that church background, and it's like they let us watch this. Like they let us watch this, like as wholesome cartoon, and then you rewatch it as an adult. It's like Pat Robertson let them do this. Like, he didn't care. Like, all right, I guess But that was my very first anime, and I think a lot of us like Robotech. That's another one.
Yeah, Robotech, Zoids. I was super big into Zoids as a kid.
Yeah, so when Gundam Wing dropped, everybody was like, oh, Gundam Wing. And me, I was like, I've never heard of Gundam Wing. I didn't know they did stuff outside of Mobile Suit Gundam. So let me watch it. And then like you start as an adult, you attach to all the adult themes.
Yeah, I mean, Gundam Wing was like really like it was a war drama, you know, like they had like big political themes and like long discussions on like pacifism.
Teenager, you're just like, I want to see robots killing robots. I don't care about this political stuff. Just show
come on, I want to see my like Death Scythe robot like
it's like
plow through a submarine. Yeah. Oh man, that's when you got G Gundam, which was really just like, hey, let's just
robots
smash these robots together.
That's all we do. And then Universal Century is like the deep, serious, like thought-provoking. Is war bad? It's like, why are we at war? So
yeah,
it's anime for you.
Yeah,
sounds pretty exciting. Well, I think we have some time for questions. Desiree, do you want to throw some at us? I have a feeling we'll have quite a few today.
Sure. Let's see. So we did have a couple earlier. So, do you have any other hobbies outside of board games? Which I'm sure they can tell by now. Yes, you do. So, for all of you, do you have other hobbies outside of board games?
I mean, I'll let Sarah go first. I mean, she.
So mostly when I'm not working, which is a lot of the time, I do like playing board games with my husband. That's mostly what we're doing, just big 2-player games. Like we played On Mars this week, and we've been doing a lot of puzzles lately, and that's been nice and relaxing. I love listening to music, but it feels kind of weird to just sit in a couch, like on your couch, listening to music by yourself.
Something kind of zen about that, though.
It's chill. It is very chill when you're just listening to just random stuff on Spotify.
Good albums.
Yeah. So we've been doing that while we do puzzles, which is really nice. We'll be like actively using our minds and then singing along and like listening to stuff we wouldn't necessarily remember to listen to otherwise. So that's been very relaxing. And then we've been doing a lot of hiking lately. My husband is a ultra marathon trail runner, and he's pretty busy doing that during the day.
Doing okay keeping up with that?
He does that while I'm working, and then comes home and tells me about how he got chased by a bear and my dog almost got eaten and all sorts of horrible things. But I get to stay home, so that's nice.
There you go.
But then
wow.
Yeah, that happened this week. That was pretty exciting. Stand off with a bear, but you know, we live in Montana. It's kind of expected. So we do a lot of hiking on the weekends, though. Try and find nice remote places where we're all alone and do Montana things. So yeah, that's most of it for us. So how about you, Jonathan? I'll make you go next.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've been playing a lot of video games, as one is wont to do. Let's see. I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2. Been playing Deep Rock Galactic. Just beat Final Fantasy VII Remake. Had a great time with that.
Nice.
Like, speaking of things we played when we were 9, like, man, FF7 got a lot of hours out of me when I was a kid. And I mean, like, I played most of FF7 on a really tiny, the little flip-up screen on the PlayStation 1 that you could, like, connect to the old... Yeah, like, I played a lot of that, like, in a car.
I had it on my PSP. I had it on my PSP for a while when it was available, like on PSN. Like when the PS3 was like, oh, you can download Final Fantasy VII. I was like, well, I had a PSP, and like I was at the time I was in college, and I was working in a video store, and I was like, well, I'll just play some Final Fantasy VII while I'm working in this video store. It's going slow, and I'll just pull it out and just play it and stuff, and just have fun with it. So
awesome, yeah. And yes,
I think that's the last one I played.
Aside from that, it's been a lot of, like, I've been doing some more illustration stuff. I've been doing some writing. And yeah, like, but a lot of my leisure time is going into game design. Like, I've got a spreadsheet up right now on my desktop with, I think, like, the, like, 4th or 5th expansion coming out that, like, after what's already been revealed. Like, we're a ways down the pipeline. Excited. Oh, God, I can't talk about any of it. Let's move on.
Yeah, I know for me, I am thankful that I was able to work from home. So working from home is to the point now where it's like, other than me, well, with the Rona, I can't go out and play basketball with friends and stuff like I normally could. So now it's just like, well, I guess I'll go jogging as my form of exercise and stuff, and I'll do that and go jogging and, you know, walk.
Or listening to podcasts.
That too, because I think jogging. Well, I try listening to podcasting while jogging. It doesn't work for me. It's like I need music to run.
Got it.
order for it to work. Now, if I'm going for like a hike and stuff, because I have walked some trails and stuff since nobody's really walking trails now and stuff like that. So I'll listen to a podcast while I'm walking trails and stuff like that. But outside of that, Gunpla models, I had a backlog of Gundam models that I bought at conventions for so many years. And I was like, well, this is a good time for me to actually start building them now. So I might as well just do that.
There you go. What you building right now?
Actually, funny enough, it's this from Gundam Age.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's that, and
Nice.
so got that. Video game wise, definitely catching up. I'm playing Last of Us 2. I did beat Final Fantasy 7 Remake months ago and stuff, so that was definitely one of those things. Working from home, I can do both. Like,
you have to knock that out.
I can do this, and then all right, I'm at a good stopping point. Let me play some games and pause. So it's like. I haven't been going through. I've been taking my time playing through games, but I definitely do that as well.
Last of Us 2 is intense, man. Like I get through like 20 minutes and have to
I've been taking my time through Last of Us 2, but like I said, gaming and just podcasting and just going out getting outside and being active. I feel I have to do that because otherwise, just staying in the house cooped up would have me going crazy and I would lose my mind. So I need to take a walk out and get some air. And
that's super important. Nice. Other questions, Desiree?
Yes. So I am assuming this is for Jonathan or directed towards Jonathan.
Oh boy.
When or if you do Time Force, will you still add Time Force Pink? I don't know if you can answer that.
God. Let's see. Honestly, it really depends on the structure of the box. I think there are ways in which we would do it without Time Force Pink, and there are ways we would do it with. Since most of the team packs are 5 Rangers, it could very easily be that we'll do like a Time Force box with the 4 other Time Force Rangers and Quantum Ranger instead of the Time Force Pink. Because Time Force Pink, Chris, you may notice Time Force Pink actually appears in Shattered Grid. We sort of have her.
Yeah, I saw that. That's why when she said that question, I was like, ooh, that's going to be tricky.
Yeah. So, but like, hey, our normal Ranger packs are 5 Rangers, so we can just do like Quantum Ranger as the 5th Ranger in that set. Or maybe we'll, have Time Force Pink show up with like a slightly different deck or character ability. We generally wouldn't want players to have to rebuy the exact same character twice, unless you've got like a little more, unless it's like really there's a valid reason to play with both, which is what we did with like the Gold Ranger, where there's the promo version of the Gold Ranger and the regular version. Both of them come with both the character cards for Jason or Trey. Yeah. But if you want to play with Jason and Trey, then you would want both. And so there's a valid reason to have both, but I don't see a strong reason to have 2 versions of Time Force Pink unless we give her an appreciably different character kit.
Seems reasonable. Awesome. Nice, good job. No spoilers.
So I believe this is for all of you. How often do you get to go out to the local con scene? So I know a lot of conventions right now have been doing digital, which right now there's one going on. So I don't know if there's any local cons still happening with everything that's going on right now with the coronavirus. But I guess, have you attended any virtual cons?
I think right now, I think for our podcast, we just got an invite for the DC comics one that they're doing. I guess kind of like their separate thing for all their media stuff for comics and TV shows and movies. They haven't gave us details, but it looks like that's going to be their biggest one. And then I think San Diego Comic-Con's doing a virtual con as well. So that's going to be, those are the 2 ones that we're very interested to see how those go and stuff in terms of conventions. I know later this year in December in this area, Awesome Con is going to actually, we'll see how it goes, the way this coronavirus is going, if December is going to be viable for them to actually do it. But apparently Awesome Con in DC, Washington, DC is going to be happening in mid-December. I think it's going to be like a week before Christmas, I believe.
Wow.
So we'll see if it actually happens. So if anything, those are the 3 that we're kind of, at least me, I'm looking at, because like I said, Power Morphicon got canceled and they pushed that to next year. And
Yeah. Oh man.
I
We had a whole
know
thing for Power Morphicon this year planned.
I was so wanting to go, and then I was so now hope. I was like, well, maybe this virus might dissipate, and then it was like, nah, we're just gonna cut it and stuff. I know Dragon Con apparently might still be happening because
really wild.
Georgia is still opened up and stuff, but I don't know if it's been canceled yet and stuff. They haven't said nothing, but I mean, I'm not gonna go because I don't know how that's gonna work.
Yeah.
So at least for me, that's all it is for conventions for me.
Yeah, I think in general, like as a publisher that wants to bring our fans into a space and have fun together and give them this exciting event, I just want everybody to be safe. And so I would feel very nervous about asking anybody to do something that they didn't all feel safe doing and have people feel like they were left out or something like that too. So we were really happy to do our virtual convention a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and I was on a couple of those panels. That was super fun.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. That was exciting. But yeah, I think that's a really good alternate way to do it right now. And it's not ideal. We love being together because we're all social animals and especially gamers. Like we play games so that we can sit at a table and enjoy time spent together. But yeah, I think there's a lot of good that's coming out of these virtual conventions too. That's awesome about DCs. I'm really curious to see what they do with that. And that's great that they asked you to join them. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting how that turns out. Because I mean, especially like you said, for tabletop gaming, it's like, so how's this whole social distancing going to work in the convention scene with tabletop gaming and everybody's all gathered together? It's like,
yeah, it's tricky. I own a game store here in Montana too, and we're struggling with that too. We've got Magic pre-release this weekend. We've got people who want to come in and play War Machines and Warhammer, and it's definitely a case-by-case situation right now. It's challenging, but we're all going through the same thing together. We'll get there. Yeah. How about you, Jonathan? Do you have any virtual conventions you're looking forward to?
Honestly, like I haven't been keeping up super much with those. I've been really nose to the grindstone on a lot of work. I'm sad that I'm right now I'm wearing the Gen Con shirt that they put out because Gen Con's been canceled. For respect for that. But yeah, I'm kind of, when I hear good things about these local cons, like the ones I'm hearing about right now, I want to go to those. But yeah, locally, there's not too much happening in San Diego right now since, the announcement that Comic-Con's not happening. So yeah, kind of just keeping an ear to the ground for good virtual cons and like tuning in to like, as though they are podcasts a lot of the times. Like a lot of these panels are just like, that's really nice, just good listening while I'm working or trying to do stuff. But yeah,
time passes pretty quick when you're listening to podcasts and talks and stuff. So
I am really happy that even though Power Morphicon is usually only every other year, that they are going to figure out how to do it next year. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
That's fun. Awesome. So Desiree, what's next?
Let's see. I think that might have been it as far as questions. But yeah, if you just want to, I'm sorry, did you have a question, Chris?
Actually, I have a question for Jonathan. So I'm curious, like when you went through the whole basis of creating the game, how closely did you have to work with, like Bandai, Saban, and them to actually get the green light for doing this? Because I know it seems like there's a lot of things that you probably have to go through before you can actually get something like this officially licensed and such.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. Like, I think one of the higher ups at Saban at the time was like a friend who had worked with Scott, the guy who runs Renegade Games, and was like, hey, they were looking to do a Power Rangers tabletop game, like a more serious border card game offering. And he knew Scott, so he approached Scott. And then I had sort of just moved to San Diego, and Scott knew my work, and so he approached me about the project. So like kind of getting it off the ground was fairly immediate, that like they wanted this and they knew a good team that would be able to do it. As far as like actual approvals during the process go, Saban was pretty hands off overall. Like they were very careful about things like the aesthetics, right?
Yeah.
They were very careful about like, hey, this is what the helmets look like, right? Like they don't want you to get like, the design of like the Mastodon helmet's horns go into the mask a bit. Those kind of really subtle things that a lot of, artists don't necessarily track, that Saban is very careful to make sure . Yeah. And that was honestly super helpful. Like we went through we had an awesome like hour-long PowerPoint presentation they gave us that was like Ranger School.
I love Ranger School. That was
wow.
so much.
Yeah, which was like, here are the tenets of Power Rangers, and here's what it takes, and here's what's important, and like here are the themes we want to go over. And a lot of them, as we've discussed here, things like diversity, being healthy, being kind, like all these principles are core to Power Rangers, and they kind of helped guide a lot of the overall gameplay ethos of what we wanted to do and kind of the types of stories we wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was kind of curious about that whole process and stuff, because I know, like, Saban, and I'm pretty sure Hasbro is a very protective. I mean, every company is protective of their IP to a degree and stuff. So, like, I was always curious of what's the process for those kind of things and stuff. So that's actually pretty good to know.
Yeah, and now that we're working with Hasbro, they're just awesome. Like, they do really, really care about their brands, but they also trust us, and we've had a good track record with them. So they've honestly just been a dream to work with. It's been really good. And I think they're happy with what we're doing, and we're happy working with them. So yeah, it's like a little party all the time. It's awesome.
Well, we did have one more question that came in. How much of a struggle was it to not make both versions of Adam overpowered?
Ooh, man.
Adam Park, my favorite Ranger. I mean, let me tell you, the playtesters put in a lot of work for that. Every time they'd come back with a report, and I'd be like, I mean, is he really that strong, though? Like, let's be honest here. It's I think that both versions of Adam have hit a pretty good sweet spot. Honestly, Zeo Green Adam may be one of the weaker Zeo Rangers. Like, he's probably one of the more technical. Like, he has his skill floor is kind of harder to reach. Like, you can actually mess up while playing him and perform worse. Whereas at the high level, he plays really effectively. So that's kind of, I made that more as a play style that I would enjoy playing rather than necessarily one that is super powerful. And Mighty Morphin Black Adam Park is just kind of a nice twist on the Mighty Morphin Black deck, which, again, like, one of my other favorite Rangers is Zach. So Mighty Morphin Black is one of the stronger core Power Rangers who I really enjoy playing, and he just is a strong bruiser play style. Oh god, that power axe.
Yeah, I mean, for both of y'all though, Sarah and John, have you? Because a friend of ours, a friend of our show, Sharp, he actually has the board game, and I watched as he actually took you guys' figures, and he actually painted them.
Oh man.
Like, he painted each figure like the actual Rangers. Because at first I was like, because this is before y'all shipped the game, so I was looking, I was like, is that how they come in? And I asked him, he's like, oh no, they don't come like this. I just did it myself. I was like, wow, like, he literally painted them like the actual Rangers and everything. I was like, wow.
We got a lot of dedicated painters in the Facebook group right now.
So do you have actually had some people that actually did it themselves, like actually took you guys' figures and repainted them and stuff?
Yeah. So actually, Terry Latorco, who's our marketing manager, so she, before she even worked for Renegade, she had her own painting show, because she's been part of the miniatures wargaming crowd for a very long time. And she's done several videos for us that teach you, as an absolute brand new beginner, if you have never painted anything before ever, where to start, what supplies to have, and how to get your figures painted quickly without really wasting a lot of time on the details, but still have them end up looking great. So she's just one of the best painting teachers that I've ever encountered. So if you want to look up some of her videos, I can send you links.
Yeah, send me the link, because for me, like, I paint the Gundam model kits and stuff, and that's simple stuff anyway. But like, I actually do want to like take these figures. Like, I wonder if I can paint that. That would be something to do. So I definitely need that link, because that's something I would definitely dive into it.
Oh yeah, I think anybody can paint these if they watch Terry's videos. They're so good at breaking down the steps and making it seem manageable, because painting can be really overwhelming. Like, you look at the finished thing, you're like, there's so much detail.
It's like, where do I start?
Yeah, where do you start with that? But yeah, I'll send you some links. It'll be good.
All right, cool.
That's awesome. So we're almost out of time, but I did just want to remind everybody, if you are interested in signing up for our giveaway, we are giving away Vulcan Skull and the Zeo Gold Rangers, and you can fill out the form in the link that Desiree is going to post right now. And the secret code is Let's Rocket. Like a rocket.
Yeah, like a rocket ship.
Like a rocket ship. Just so there's no confusion. And yeah, before we sign off, Chris, tell us where people can find you. We can post a link in the chat as well so people can go and find your podcast and anything exciting that you have coming up that you want people to know about.
So you can find our podcast on any podcast app, iTunes, Stitcher. We're on Spotify now, so you can find us on Spotify pretty easily. A lot of podcasts are starting to migrate to Spotify now, but we're on Spotify and stuff. You can also find a lot of our episodes up on 3blackgeeks.com, or if you want to go the direct route to our archives, 3blackgeeks.libsyn.com. You can find us on Twitter at 3blackgeeks. If you want to go to my personal Twitter, because I talk about stuff too on there, it's at CJWizGeek. That's my Twitter handle. And also our Facebook page as well is, just look up 3 Black Geeks and you'll find that, and also our group page as well. Find us on Instagram.
What's the name of your Power Rangers podcast?
Morphin Metacast. That is the name of that's the name of our Power Rangers podcast. So when we actually we are coming up on our 50th episode. Yeah, 50th episode. So we're actually going to do a kind of live streaming for like the superhero Tyson movie, kind of do like a commentary kind of thing and stuff. Still trying to figure out the logistics on that. And also YouTube page. You can youtube.com, just look up 3 Black Geeks and go to our YouTube page as well. And like I said, we're going to start doing a lot of live shows as well. So that's pretty much where you can find all our material.
Very, very cool. Well, thank you so much for being on our show.
No problem. I love it.
It's always great to chat with another super fan. And I hope everybody does go and check out your podcast, because it's really, really well done. And we have enjoyed listening to it, which is why we wanted you to be on our show. So awesome. Yeah. And if anybody else has anything, feel free to post those questions in the chat and we'll get to them after our show is over if we can. But thank you so much. Please come back, not next week, but the week after. So we're going to take next week off. We've got 4th of July coming up, and we want to give everybody a little bit of a breather for the day. But we're going to be back on July 10th. And we have more good stuff coming up for you. So thank you, everybody, and we will see you.
Sorry, I flickered the screen actually because of my Zoom. So in Twitch right now, I think we swapped. Me and CJ just swapped our. I'm sorry.
I think you went away, and I was like, "Oh no, you went away," and it came all back. But now you and Chris have.
Like Jonathan left. Spaces. We're not done yet.
All right, but on that note.
Thank you, Jonathan, for being here sometimes. And thank you so much, Desiree, for running our wonderful show for us. So everybody have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you all later. Bye.
See ya.